It's a great honor to be here in Tokyo and in Japan to see my work being done. This is my second play that has been at the New National Theatre in Tokyo, and I'm so excited to be here and be a part of it and to see what wonderful work the theater artists in this city have done. And I encourage everyone to come and see it, and I hope that you enjoy my work. And thank you for having me. Arigato. I was just blown away by this beautiful production at the New National Theatre of Guards of the Taj. I've seen my play done all over the US and all over the world, but I think that this production here is particularly beautiful and stunning. And I think that has to do with the work of the director, the designers, and the wonderful actors who have brought a surprising and new interpretation to my work. What I saw yesterday in this production was, I think, a new play for me. And it wasn't because of the language, it was because of the way that this was staged and the way that I witnessed the story being told through the direction and the acting. And I think it was the same story, but it felt very new to me. It felt very exciting to me. Because as I'm watching my play, every time I see it, especially if I haven't been part of the process, I'm always in my mind predicting how a director has staged something. I imagine that, oh, I think I know how they're going to get to this moment. I think I know how they're going to interpret this place. And in Ariko's production, she always found ways to surprise me, to create moments that I had not seen happen before, to create transitions between scenes in ways that I had not anticipated. And so to be able to surprise the playwright with the presentation of a show in a good way is really remarkable. Well, I originally had this play as a larger cast, and it wasn't very interesting. And I thought actually that the two most interesting characters were the two smallest ones, these guards who were just kind of talking to each other. And I liked that they were sort of the lowest rungs of the ladder. They had the least amount of power in this power structure. But they're also very different people, and because they're different people, their dialogue and their points of views can take on opposing contrasts. And so we have in Humayun a man who believes in the system and believes in the rules and is strict and rigid and has an orthodoxy. And with Babur we have someone who lives in his dreams and has a sort of poet's soul, and because of that ends up being sort of victimized by the power structure. And through these two points of view, I think that we can explore lots of different ideas about what it means to be a human being in the world, whether it's in 16th century India or 21st century Japan. I think that humor and drama always walk hand in hand, at least the way that I conceive of it, the way I appreciate it, the way I work. I can't have one without the other. I think that most of my work, especially Guards at the Taj, deals with some pretty dark and bleak material, and yet when I enter that, I can't help but have a sort of gallows humor that comes out. And it's not something that I'm necessarily trying to do. There's not a purpose to it. To me, it just exists that way. But I also believe, because I believe very much in the way that an audience is engaging in a work, that the darker the material, the more an audience needs to have moments of emotional release through humor. And so I think humor is actually a really useful tool in keeping an audience engaged in what could be very bleak material. I believe that Guards of the Taj, more than almost any play that I've written, has a global appeal. And I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I think that part of it has to do with that it lives in a sort of allegorical territory, because it takes place so long ago and is of a time in which we really have no idea how people like Humayun and Babur might have lived. In the research that I did, there's limited material about the lives and dreams and ambitions of imperial guards in India. And so it was left to me to provide that. And in doing so, I think we have a story about friendship betrayal, devotion, love that speaks to people across the globe and across political lines. And I think that might be part of the reason why this play, more than any that I've written, has had such a life outside of the United States. So I write for the stage, of course, but I also have written for television and film. But my passion and my preference is always the stage, live performance. And I think the reason for that is I find that there's a much deeper connection when there's an audience there watching people on stage. There's a different sort of communion that happens between the artists and the audience that you don't get through the screen. And also, in addition to that, as a writer, I find that I can take more risks and write in a more symbolic and dramatic way for live performance than I would be able to for television or film.